Prank call. Prank call. All right, everybody. Welcome to Low Key WAL here on this Friday, May 25th, 2018. Um, yeah. I'm actually liking it here on this Friday. I did accidentally fall asleep right after Liberty and Chill because well, Paul and I decided to go to Cafe Audrey's to go get food instead of going sitting at Triton, and I love the food at Cafe Audrey's. One of my favorite places to eat on the fort. And I took that and I fell asleep after eating that. My bad. Luckily, hey, my wife, my co-host, not my co-host, but my partner in crime, made sure I got up. But speaking of partners in crime and partners in this, we've also got some people here from the Discord and the um, in the Discord hanging out for this low key wall episode. I think we've got Reinhold in there. Reinhold, go ahead and say hi.
Good evening, everybody.
And we also have we've got the meme czar Stone. Why don't you go ahead and say hi? We're live on air.
Hello. It's a little bit late for. But hey,
A little bit for what? A little late for what?
late for a Twitch stream, but hey.
No, most Switch streams really happen late. Like it was really rare for like low key wall to go like so early like we did though.
That explains why I miss it every time.
Well, like a Loki Wall decided to move to Friday nights because it was for the few weeks because it would be easier on me, especially because the company that I started working for started to move to is getting ready to move from its location in Lawrence to downtown Indianapolis. So during the week I'm going to be pretty busy. So that's why I wasn't on Wall this week because I was dealing with the move, all the issues with the move, meeting with people in California, which, they're in Pacific time, so noon is 9 a.m. their time. So, when it becomes 5 p.m. my time, to them it's just, barely the middle of their day. So they still want to have conversations, meetings, and phone calls at 5, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And since I need their information from their head to do the move downtown, well, look like I'm working to 8.
Yeah, and the guy they got to replace you too. That guy's a loser.
Yeah, that guy. I heard that guy was not the best. Okay. All right, but it's okay. The best you can do with one of those like loaners, the temps from the temp service, the podcast temp service.
It's like a paper candidate.
Paper candidate. We should start that like the podcast temp service. If you need if you need a co-host, we've got temp candidates to send to you.
I can talk about anything. Trust me, I can get on here and talk with authority on any topic, any subject. I might even sound like I know what I'm talking about most of the time.
But anyway, so that's why we moved Loki Wall from Wednesday nights to Friday nights. And possibly we might even start doing because I really did get to play with Boss Hog Liberty's their Zune HD they use their portable mic setup at poolside, and I really did like that, and I really want to test it out with the microphone, with the headphone set, and at the bar setting, and might even try to record like low key wall sitting at Triton or whatever place we decide to do low key wall at, and do Liberty and Chill at, and do low key wall there. Make it more interesting, make it more fun, and make it more the fun fan hangout that I like. The vision of what Loki Wall to me has always been is because it's the reading the articles and stories that I care about that are weird out there, and mostly just a fan hangout and hang out with you guys. Like I like it when Stone and everybody jumps into the Discord channel, to talk, and I really have missed everybody in the Discord channel because I'm dealing with this move to work, this move. I can't wait till the move is over, which June 16th cannot get here fast enough. I'm hoping to be done June 11th and take the week off. Be ready for when people start coming down. Just sit at home and sleep. But that's me. So, but I've heard everyone else has had a fun week. Right home. You want to talk about your week?
No. Actually, so what happened to me was I did not follow my own advice and was not backing up my system. I had a hard drive failure and lost a lot of data.
Oh no.
So it's been a fun couple of days, including work stuff, home stuff, 10 years worth of pictures, etc. I think I've got a lot of it recovered just from other backups that I have taken and old hard drives and moving data around for the past several decades. So
Mm.
I think I haven't I'm not missing too much, but I still think I may be taking the hard drive and sending it off to get repaired.
Oh, oh rip, 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 rip,
Yeah,
rip.
it's been a fun couple of days, and I do recommend that if you are like me and have been putting off doing that daily maintenances or the backups, the things that you should be doing for your data because you think everything's fine, it'll be fine for another couple of days or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Because I had planned this weekend to move some stuff off that hard drive anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just bought a new hard drive, I was going to move everything off of it, and that was going to be my weekend work. And then Thursday, I decided to say, "Hey, it looks like you're going to do something productive. Let's take care of that for you." And my hard drive decided to just give up the ghost. So,
Yep.
and it's not an easily recoverable thing where I can just put it in and try to do something funky and run the spin right and get it back. It's a firmware crash that could be creating a head crash. I'm not sure yet on that, so
Mm.
it's going to need some professional care.
And also remember, RAID isn't backup. RAID is just storage. So, like even this thing right here, this RAID, my up here at the top of the this my machine, which is a bunch of 500 gig drives rated together to get terabyte the hard way. Up here, I have installed. I don't know if everyone can see it. Let me come down to the camera a little bit more. Is just a bright orange Western Digital terabyte drive, which it is its backup. It sits up there funky like that because usually it's sit behind the computer, and not usually supposed to sit on a shelf. But I've been using it as my main PC up here, so it backs up onto that drive. Now you may be saying to yourself, Harry, I can't afford one of them fandangle expensive terabyte external drives. Well, yes, you can. They're only about $50. Okay, and trust me, hiring someone like Reinhold or sending it out to the drive to get fixed is going to be a lot cheaper than that thing is. But you also got to be checking on maintenance.
Would you like to hear some of the prices I've been quoted so far?
Oh yes, this would be great. This would be great. This is great, informative information. Informative information, everybody. All right.
So there are the low tier recovery places that are offering $99 for basic service.
Okay.
That's around 2 weeks
Oh.
of having your hard drive, and then maybe telling you whether it can get it to you or not.
Mm-hmm.
They had expedited services up to $400 or $500 where they could look at it in less than a week, maybe. And I think there was $1,000 service where they could basically, as soon as they get it in, they would work on it until they could tell you whether they could recover or not. It would put you to the head of the line. Now, the upper tier recovery services, because the lower tier recovery services I'm talking about are not as reputable and capable of doing this work. They don't have the highest level of clean rooms. They have just some basic clean rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really the same level of service. But then you've got your on-tracks and your ACSs, and their basic service starts out around $500 and can go up to several thousand, depending on the speed that you need it, the quantity, what's wrong with it, etc., etc. So data recovery is not cheap. An extra hard drive that you're backing stuff up to is much, much cheaper.
Yeah. And you don't even need like a mechanical solution to a desktop, external solution for a desktop. You could use another internal drive if you have the space inside. If you have just a large enough flash drive, because like 16 gig flash drives are incredibly cheap right now. And you could do that and just do like a image, get like Macrium or even like the simple like Windows restore, and just I think you can restore down to like a 10 gigabit, depending on how big your drive is, of course. You can restore down like the main image down to 10 gigs, which easily stay on a flash drive. It's not the best solution in the world, but it could be something. If you don't have something large.
There's also the options of cloud storage,
Yep.
Carbonite, or
Mm-hmm.
just OneDrive. Copying, have all of your stuff saved in a OneDrive folder that gets copied back up to OneDrive overnight.
Mhm.
Or Dropbox or whatever service you might want to use for that. But get the stuff backed up somehow. There's so many different methods and ways to do it. Some are much less expensive than others,
Mhm.
but they're all much less expensive than that feeling that you get when you think you may have just lost over a decade of pictures.
Yep. And test your backups because you're just because you have your backup solution in place, test it. See if it actually works. See even if you can recover from that. Can you recover from it? Have you ever done it before? Do you even know how to do it? Make sure you answer these questions from whatever solution you go to. So if you do have carbonite and you do back up from it and you send your backups there, test it. Test it. Does it work? How
A-
long does it even
And
take?
the other warning for Carbonite is that you have to continually pay them as long as you're using them as a backup service. The minute you stop paying, they don't just keep that data around. After like 30 days of non-payment, they'll send you some emails saying, "Hey, we really need you to get in here and pay us some more money."
Mm-hmm.
Then they say, if you don't pay us within a certain period of time, we're deleting your data,
Yep.
because they're not going to just sit and store it that for free forever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't expect them to do that, so they just delete the file. So that if you're frantic like somebody I know who's trying to figure it out and thought, "Oh, I used to use Carbonite, I wonder if they still have the data," they don't.
Surprised they don't sell like some like weird service that like hey, we'll charge you $1,000 to send someone a hard drive to see if we can find it on our one of our old backups.
Money talks. If you're really wanting that data, I'm sure they could figure something out. But
Oh yeah.
old tape backup, something that they have in the vault somewhere, they might be
Mm-hmm.
able to yank it out for a high penny price. But
Mm-hmm.
I would, of all the data services that I have used in the past for data recovery, I would recommend OnTrack. They have always been the best to me for what they've been able to do for the customers. I mean, they saved my bacon many years ago in a project we were working with, and so I was always recommend them if you have a choice, like between ACS and OnTrack and a couple of the other top tiers. Um, at this point, now that I've got most of my data back, and there's not really that much that I'm too worried about anymore,
Mm-hmm.
I may go ahead and give one of these lower tier ones a try.
Okay.
Because if they screw it up, I'm kind of out anyway, so why not? So we'll see if that $99 special works, but I can always report back on how that process goes. But so that might be a try. And I had a niece offer to do it for me, to open up the drive and fix it for me, and I'm like, have you done it before? That sort of thing. So, um, but that was before I'd found some old backups that I did have. So I don't know. I will figure that out.
Yeah. I've done it before, but every time I've ever done it, opened up and fixed it before, I've always gone and got one good pull off it. So I'm very uncomfortable doing it. Like it was like okay.
That's the problem I have is there's no way I can get a good pull off of it because it's not recognizable, because it sees the sectors, it sees the cylinders, or it sees the heads and cylinders, but it doesn't see the sectors.
Mm,
And if it doesn't see the sectors are there. That's telling me that the firmware is probably blown up.
oof. Oof. Oof.
It is
That's
too
what.
late though.
Hmm. Yeah. What? Stone? Things I've road rage. Yeah. So over here on Woot.com, they're selling a 6 terabyte external drive for $114. So easily go pick one up. It'll help out. It can really save your bacon one day. So
Very much
speaking,
so.
yeah, and you can also save 2 network attached storage drives, right? And the cool thing about network attached storage devices, sometimes bad crap can happen with network attached storage devices. I'm bringing this one up because one of the network storage devices on this thing's list we use at my job, the QNAP NAS boxes. Granted, we don't use the NAS like they talk about using NAS on it, but it's still on our network, so I'm concerned about this thing. So this come from Ars Technica, sorry. Hackers infect 500,000 consumer routers all over the world with malware. The VPN filter can survive reboots and contain destructive kill functions. This is just a big, like, real trolley style of malware that's out there. and fix a lot of different devices, some devices that I like to use or have recommended before. Hackers possibly working for an advanced nation, I don't know, troll nation apparently, have infected more than 500,000 home and small office routers around the world with malware that can be used to collect communications, launch attacks on others, and permanently destroy the devices with a single command. Researchers at Cisco warned on Wednesday. VPN Filter, as the modular multi-stage malware has been dubbed, works on consumer-grade routers made by Linksys, MikroTik, Netgear, TP-Link, and on network-attached storage devices from QNAP. Cisco researchers said in an advisory, "It's one of the few pieces of Internet of Things malware that can survive a reboot." Infections in at least 54 countries have been slowly building since at least 2016, and Cisco researchers have been monitoring them for several months. The attacks drastically ramp up during the past 3 weeks, including 2 major assaults on devices located in Ukraine. The spikes, combined with the advanced capabilities of the malware, prompted Cisco to release Wednesday's report before the research is completed. FBI agents have seized a key server used in the attack. The agent said Russian government hackers used KeyWAL.com as a backup method to deliver a second stage of malware already infected routers. So, too long did not read Russia again. So Russia. But yeah, so Internet of Things or Internet of Targets, as a lot of people have, as Dr. Brian Salvador always calls them. These are devices that try to make it very, very easy to remote in and VPN setup. But when things are easy, sometimes it can program with security holes. That happens. It's a reason why people like Nice, Reinhold, Michael, and we make big bucks, because that easy equipment, well, it's easy for a reason, and security holes get plugged into without someone also looking at it. Like, people look at me like, well, why do you want to put an intrusion detection system or protection system inside of it? Because hackers are trolls. Like, they're not like, well, we don't have no data to steal. They aren't stealing data. They're just turning off networks and laughing. So. So you need to get, got to protect your network. So if you have any of these things up here, but I'll keep going through what happened. All right, we assess with high confidence the malware is used to create an expansive, hard-to-attribute infrastructure that can be used to sever multiple operations needed to the threat actor, Cisco researcher William Larnett wrote. Since the affected devices are legitimately owned by businesses or individuals, malicious activity conducted from the infected devices could be mistakenly attributed to those who are actual victims of the actor. The capabilities built into the various stages and plugins of the malware are extremely versatile and would enable the actor to take advantage of devices in multiple ways. Sniffers included with the VPN filter collect login credentials, possible supervisor controls, and data acquisition traffic. The malware also makes it possible for the attackers to obfuscate themselves by using the devices as nondescript points for connecting to final targets. The researchers also said they uncovered evidence that at least some of the malware includes a command to permanently disable the device, a capability that would allow the attackers to disable internet access for hundreds of thousands of people worldwide or in focused regions depending on the particular objective. In most cases, this action is unrecoverable by most victims, requiring technical capabilities, know-how, or tools that no consumer should be expected to have, reported. We are deeply concerned about this capability, and it's one of the driving reasons we have been quietly researching this threat over the past few months. Cisco reports 5 weeks after the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, FBI, and the UK's National Cybersecurity jointly warned that hackers working on behalf of the Russian government are compromising a large number of routers, switches, and other network devices belonging to governments, business, and critical infrastructure providers. Cisco report doesn't explicitly name Russia, but it does say that the VPN filter contains a broken function involving the RC4 encryption cipher that is identical to the one found in malware known as Black Energy. Black Energy has been used in a variety of attacks tied to Russian government, including one in December 2016 that caused a power outage in Ukraine. So that's how they kind of say it's Russia, because of this uses same type of cipher. But even the United States government loses talk of their tools all the freaking time. So could it be one of their tools? We don't know. It's all up in the air for that one. The black energy, however, is believed to have been repurposed by other attack groups, so on its own, the code overlap isn't proof. VPN filter was developed by the Russian government. Wednesday's report provided no further attribution to the attacks, other than to say that they used IP address, like I'm reading that, and the domains toknowitall.com and ip.org. All right, so here's a good breakdown of the attack, of what happens. So basically, like they exploit the machine, they get inside of the filter, and the thing is, the way it decides. So most IoT devices, when you reboot them or reset them, it resets all the configs, or hit reboot or reset this thing actually sits inside its firmware and holds on with its teeth. So every time you try to do something like that, it doesn't work, doesn't no good. Wednesday's report is concerning because routers and NOS devices typically receive no antivirus or firewall protection and are directly connected to the internet. Which that shouldn't be. Because the antivirus things, a lot of them is because a lot of people use these NOS boxes that don't have like any type of antivirus on them, because they use IoT devices like that, especially these small ones with the firewall protection. I don't know why someone would put something like this in their DMZ instead of just using it as like a dynamic DNS or something like that to get inside, but it should be behind a firewall regardless, because it's connected to the internet. So that's to me, that also looks like bad practice. While the research still don't know precisely how the devices are getting infected, almost all these targeted have known public exploits are default credentials that make compromising straightforward. An antivirus provider, Symtec, used in its own advisory Wednesday that identified the target as, and it gives a list of all kinds of stuff. So that's another thing that's also concerning about this, because it also talks about how one way that it's getting in is because the default creds are still in place. So admin or default or admin blank or password 1234 or whatever the default passwords on all these devices are also up there. So one thing that also protect you from this, change the basic password that came with the device, which can help shield you from this. Yeah, so a lot of those point-click solutions that a lot of people love and keep using becoming an issue. Who saw that one coming?
And the fun thing about that is the fact that one of my routers is sitting on that list right there.
Oh, is it? Is your router on there? Ooh, the E2500. I think I got one of.
Probably not, because I got the link says, but it's the WRT 1200, not the E1200.
You think you lucked out, huh? Oh, I've got one.
It's behind another router that I'm sure isn't on that list.
I just noticed.
Most of the internet.
I just noticed my mobile, my tomato. Well, this thing actually is running tomato though, so I've got an E25. Got this one from Brett Bittner, and I put tomato on this thing last year, so a goodie, awesome. Now I know not to put the basic firmware back on that sucker. But yeah, like my job likes to use these little cheapo QNAP devices, so which they're easy backups. You can slap them anywhere, and especially for like NOS devices, instead of like going out and get something big, or which they're great for. Which I hate them because they end up using them for like a little bit too much stuff for me personally, and I feel like it was like, oh, this thing is burnt out, and I get inside of it, and they're running like 10 VMs on it, and I'm like, what are you doing? What? What's wrong? I'm like, you guys are, asking too much for these little QNAPs. These little things on it can do so much. Leave them alone. Yeah, but hopefully after this list, they'll probably decide to move off the QNAPs and go to like either just virtual private servers, or just buy a freaking server that actually will handle what they're trying to do. All these little test VMs on it. So, But both Cisco and Symantec are advising users of any of these devices to do a factory reset, and a process that typically involves holding down a button in the back for 5 to 10 seconds. Unfortunately, these resets wipe all configuration settings stored in the device, so users will have to re-enter the settings once the device restarts. At a minimum, Symantec said users of these devices should reboot their devices. That will stop Stage 2 and Stage 3 from running, at least until Stage 1 managed to reinstall them. So users should also change all default passwords. Be sure the devices are running the latest firmware, and then whenever possible, disable remote administration. Netgear officials in the past few hours have started to advising users of some router models to turn off remote management. TP-Link officials, meanwhile, said they are investigating Cisco findings. So best practices: change your passcode, disabling remote management. That's going to stink for a lot of different people that are used to doing remote management because they didn't set up like site-to-site VPN access to get inside back inside the network to disable things. They like to use that thing as a WAN facing forward. But to me, is just like a lot of people, especially like small businesses. I understand the need of trying to be, inexpensive stuff like that, but this thing's only meant to do so much, and they put so much into these things that so it is like their site-to-site VPN machine. It's their DHCP server. It's their like lifeblood of their network. But they spent like $200 on it. I'm like, you're gonna put more than $200 worth of information through this thing every day. Can we spend some more money on this, please? It's a critical piece of infrastructure. You know? But there's no easy way to determine if a router has been affected. It's not clear yet if running the latest firmware or changing default password prevents infection in all cases. Cisco and Symantec said that attackers are exploiting known vulnerabilities, but given the general quality of IoT firmware, it may be possible the attackers are also exploiting zero-day flaws, which by definition device manufacturers have yet to fix. And that's the other thing. Also, issue with a lot of these like Soho devices is that they don't get a lot of upgrades, or their firmware doesn't keep upgrading with them. It doesn't keep going. Here, let me go see if the Cisco E2500, which is right there, when is like when was the last firmware upgrade for the sucker? Let's get on the E25 webs. Look this sucker up. When was the last thing this thing got a firmware upgrade? Let's see here. Latest software, latest upgrade. Version 3. Oh wow, this thing got an update. Oh nope, just the Connect software. The Connect software got an update. Oh nope. They did a firmware upgrade on this thing in January. Wow, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that thing got an upgrade in January. Because before that, they didn't have an upgrade since 2014. So yeah. And that's what I was thinking, because that's where I put a tomato router on, because when I got it like a year ago, I was like, okay, let me upgrade the firmware. Wow, it's been out of date. Well, going to tomato. Here, let me transition over here so you guys can see. Yeah, so this is like when I first got it. That's when the firmware, like what I didn't know is they actually made a 3.0 version right here, and they made a different build for the 3.0 version of this thing. So that one actually got a firmware update this year, which is awesome. Awesome, got an upgrade. So Cisco probably worked on that. All right, let me go to the website for the tomato flash router that I keep talking about, because I keep saying like tomato. I'm putting tomatoes on my.
Well, that's one of the great things about Cisco taking over Linux or Linksys is that they're much better at making updates and firmware updates and keeping their stuff active for a longer period of time.
Yeah. So over here, the tomato basically it's a firmware update that someone's made for the open source community, just going up there and flashing old school or just like different like routers are out there and stuff like that. So it's really cool if you got one of these old things locking around. Allows you to get current firmware updates through the open source community. So I like it. I like to take old routers and do that for. And it's also cool to watch the phone system that my company just had to transition to. They actually recommend running a Tomato router over anything else. It's like, oh, we highly recommend just running Tomato. Here, how to set it up, and I'm like, wow. And, they're instructing people to take that Linksys thing or whatever router they had and putting Tomato on it. Like, look, I really like this company, and I could really get, like, I like this little company. So, Randall, any other thoughts?
No, just make sure that you don't forget about that router sitting there, and check it for firmware upgrades once in a while, and make sure that it's functioning, and
Mm-hmm.
don't just like hook it up and it's working and you just forget about it.
Yep.
It's an important piece of your network, and it can cause problems if because it's your first line of defense too for the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
just keep an eye on it.
Yep. Just those things. Watching your backups, checking your software updates on things on your network that are attached, and just things in general. That's the main reason why you see me rant about smart devices and not liking smart devices. Because, let's say you got a Samsung Smart TV. If they stop doing firmware updates and there's a bug on that sucker, that thing will it's going to be attached to my network until I buy a new TV. So I usually don't attach smart devices to my network, and I have been known to open up things and rip out Wi-Fi cards. Just snip the antenna right off it. Just snip it. It's done. Can have this Wi-Fi card inside of it all at once, but if the Ethernet jack is full of glue and the Wi-Fi antenna is disconnected, meh, it's not that smart now. Not that smart. Well, it can be smart all I want, but it's not talking to anything. So you've got that. So we've talked about backing up your machine, protecting your network devices, and doing that. There's an awesome piece of tech here. We're talking about that. I think the next thing to transition to here on this, apparently we're talking about this very tech-centered issue right now, is talk about VPNs. And everyone always and I always feel like I need to do the VPN special, do a VPN show, but really cool VPN service just launched yesterday, and I figured everyone needs to know about it. Pornhub launches a VPN and a free unlimited VPN service. Woo! If you want, I kind of like the idea because I always hate going out and paying for a VPN service because I don't want give a company my data and the terrible stuff I can do behind a VPN. But it's Pornhub. They already know me. They already know I'm an awful person. Know all my preferences. They've got other things they're worried about and seeing other people go like, oh, that's awful. But so, meh. Like I said, the only.
I think there's another good reason why that's coming into play. I don't know if you've heard about this. Apparently, there's a new thing in Europe, in Great Britain, going on, where how you have a TV license that you have to pay for using the TV. They've now set it up so that if you want to watch porn on the internet, you have to buy a porn license. Right?
Well,
you have to enter that porn license in, and in order to go visit a porn site, you will be tracked and monitored, and they know who's going where and everything else. So this VPN service might be a way around that too.
Are you trying to say Pornhub, which is one of the largest streaming services on the net, second only to YouTube, would do something so underhanded like that for its customers?
It might just be a happy coincidence.
You're not telling me they're doing this because they want to protect internet privacy and security? Champions of freedom? That's what I see it as. They're champions of freedom. Freedom of speech. Like they always stand for it. But yeah, I have heard of.
The Constitution Party hates this, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they'll hate this. But yeah, I did hear about that. The FAP license that you have to get the FAP in Great Britain. Punch your codes in. So, which I'm sure that information the government collects will never be used against anybody, ever.
Of course, just like all the cameras everywhere, it doesn't get used for that or anything like they're not jailing people for saying bad things on the Facebook or anything like that either. So
Oh no,
that would never happen.
no, never, never. It's Great Britain, Britain. Nah, mate. Anyways, Pornhub wants you to keep your porn viewing activities private and is ready to help you out with its all new VPN service. Yes, you heard that right. Adult entertainment giant Pornhub has launched its very own VPN service today with free and unlimited bandwidth to help keep your prying eyes away from your browsing activity. Dubbed VPN Hub, the VPN service by Pornhub is available for both mobile as well as desktop platforms, including Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows. That's awesome. I'm sure there'll be a Linux Reddit for it shortly. VPN or virtual private network allows users to transmit data anonymously, avoids ISP level website blocking or tracking, and keeps your browsing activity private by encrypting your data, even when you are on a public Wi Fi connection, which is very important. We've talked about that in the past. It's very, very important. Which I think we really need to do the VPN setup soon. So I could show people how to do that. But.
So I have a question. I don't know if you've read it's detailed in the article yet, if you've read through this yet, but so when you said the VPN connectivity up to the Pornhub, does only the Pornhub traffic travel across that VPN, or are they VPNing everything you do?
From what I've read through this article, it is doing everything through this tunnel.
That's interesting. So they're actually going to be a full bore, 100% free VPN for everybody.
Yeah.
And you never have to go to Pornhub at all. You can still use this to protect yourself online.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing is, right, like Pornhub might become the bastion of freedom from around the world. Like honestly, like I think we might be seeing the echo of like the Arab Spring and stuff like that of going on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, other countries using to hunt this down. What if it's going to be Pornhub?
Well, how long before they decide to change their name and just become a streaming VPN service that also has porn?
Who knows? Who knows?
They have try to get all the people from YouTube to come over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's starting to be a thing. So.
Yeah. And they have FU money. Pornhub has FU money. They have lots of money. They make a lot.
It's not like they're going out of business anytime soon either.
No, yeah, they have a more profitable model than YouTube does. You know, granted, like that's a lot of most advertisers don't want to advertise with pornography, but the people who don't care or with the audience, they pay a hefty penny to put their ads on Pornhub. So it's awesome. Anyways, they even do other things in it, but I'll get to that. VPN Hub promises to never store, collect, sell, or share your personal information with any third parties for their marketing, advertising, or research purposes. However, in its privacy policy, under the heading "How We Use Your Information," the company says it can sell aggregate or non-personal personal identifiable information with non-affiliate third parties for advertising, marketing, or research. Basically, your viewing habits they'll anonymize to sell you ads on their platform.
Like Google does.
Just like Google. Or you're here on Twitch. That's what they do here on Twitch. It's what websites do. Since some government, including the United Kingdom, are regulating adult content online, launching a VPN service by Pornhub makes sense. How we use your information, and it goes to here on things like aggregate anonymous, de-identified information, sharing aggregate or non-personal identified information with non-affiliated third parties for advertising marketing purposes. However, we do not share your personal information with any third parties for their own marketing and advertising research purposes. But if Pornhub does what they usually do, they don't really ask for too much of your personal information, and pretty much they've been very open, especially with they've gone to their cryptocurrency and being anonymous, that you can have all kinds of dealings and pay for things through Pornhub and never really give them your real name. So Pornhub don't care.
The problem is that what happens when a government agency comes with a search warrant?
Comes into Pornhub? Well, granted, like I said, they do have FU money, but if they're inside the United States,
they are holding that information for personal, for their use. So I think that might end up having to cough it up. Is what I'm saying. They're not completely making it so it's impossible, right?
Well, with the Patriot Act, if your server's inside the United States, you have to give up the information and not say anything. So hopefully, when this all gets set up, hopefully Pornhub sets up a nice warrant canary.
What I'm saying is that Apple's fighting around that by making it technically impossible,
Hmm.
right? So they're putting hard blocks in the recoverability, and that's how you get around a lot of these uh, recovery laws or search warrants. Is if you can say the technology we have in place prevents us from getting to that information and providing it for you, then you're not on the hook.
Yeah. Yep. And I think maybe they'll do something like that, but who knows? Jackie Zombie writes in, they did it with the DNA places and the license plate readers. What do you mean by the license plate? Well, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's what they're probably going to end up doing. Hopefully, they'll put some block on it, but who knows? Um, but just like all other VPNs and stuff like that, when they store the VPN, that means they have all your internet traffic and traffic in your home IP address. So understand that when you go to a VPN service, you're basically giving them all your information that you feed to that tunnel. VPN Hub is available in countries across the globe except for Burma, Myanmar, Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Sudan, and Syria due to the ban imposed by the US government. While mobile users, both iOS and Android, can download and use the VPN app for free, desktop user Mac OS and Windows have to purchase a premium account. You can also upgrade to your free account to a premium subscription for $13 a month or $90 for a full year, which eliminates ads, provides faster connection speeds, and open up servers with a wide range of countries. And you can give VPN a try by using its 7-day free trial. Awesome! So, yeah. So here's a VPN service. You're looking for a good VPN. I'm still going to keep and roll my own, but I think I might end up using, just for test purposes, I think we may have to download it on the We Libertarians test Android device and try it out. Go on there, look up a couple of stepsister stuff to ensure that this, to run some tests on it. Cities employ companies to read plates through cams for specific purposes. Indy doesn't. That's correct. Indy and New Hampshire and some other states that do not let you use the automatic plate scan readers. Yeah, there's a lot of places that do not allow it. Which, it would be different if the plate scanners and readers and stuff like that they would do it to make it a better beneficial. Like, all right, I don't think cops should pull people over for speeding, or other moving violations, but it'd be a lot easier if they didn't waste my freaking time and just scanned it and then sent me a letter in the mail, and we both aren't sitting in the rain and wasting our time. But they don't do it that way. They do it to hunt other things down, or just find people who they just mostly use the plate scanners to find people who hasn't paid their taxes. The license plate is on the wrong car because people move plates around and they go after poor people. So that's what they mostly use the plate scanners for, and every other freaking state. They try to say it's for, oh, we're going to find it for these other reasons. It's bullcrap. It's BS. They mostly use it to abuse other people. All right. Any other thoughts on the VPN hub or any of the VPN stuff, Marlon?
Nope.
Okay. And another thing we're going to talk about, we're going to move up the tech stuff. We're going to talk about the country that is another country that just got done with their incredibly free elections. Nicolas Maduro democratically won a new 6-year term on Sunday. Zach, did you hear about that?
I did hear about that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a very
amazing support that he's got from those people, voting him back in with such a high margin.
Right, they must have faith in Maduro, especially after the little bird talked to him. Caracas, Venezuela.
There's another picture you need to show other than this one that's in this article. We can talk about it after you're done.
Oh, wait, was the other one down here? What are you talking about?
It's Stone posted it earlier.
Oh, is it the Discord?
Yeah.
Oh man, I have to go. Now I'm gonna go look it up. All right, go ahead and like find the photo and at me at it, and or next to it, so I can, I'll bring it up. Victory for Venezuela's leftist leader Nicolas Maduro won a new 6-year term on Sunday, but his main rivals disavow the election, alleging massive irregularities in a process critics decried as a farce propping up a dictatorship. Oh, it's towboat and it's towboaters. Welcome. Let's see. Oh, and Jackie said her city's got them and already got them in trouble for abusing them. But go on. Yes, they do. Yeah, that's all they do. They just abuse them. Just abuse them. Um, so Nicolas Maduro, the right-hand man of Hugo Chavez, who took over this Democratic election. Victory for the 55-year-old former bus driver who replaced Hugo Chavez after his death from cancer in 2013 may trigger a new round of Western sanction against the socialist government as it grapples with its ruinous economic crisis. Oh, these voters come around in front and have no problems calling it socialist. Thank you, Luke Cohen and Andrew Napone. Thank you. We appreciate it. Just come out and say it. Say what it really is. U.S. President Donald Trump administration is threatening moves against Venezuela's already reeling oil sector. Venezuela's election board, run by Maduro loyalists, said he took 5.8 million votes versus 1.8 million from his closest challenger, Henry Falcone, a former governor who broke with opposition boycott to stand. They underestimate me, Maduro told cheering supporters on stage outside Flores presidential palace in downtown Caracas as fireworks sounded and confetti fell in the crowd. Turnout at the election was just 46.1%, and the election board said way down from the 80% registered at the last presidential vote in 2013. The opposition said that the figure was inflated, putting participation at near 30%. Oh, cool, they're getting that U.S. participation vote. An election board source told Reuters 32.3% of eligible voters cast ballots by 6 p.m., as most polls shut. The process undoubtedly lacked legitimacy, and as such, we do not recognize it, said Falcone, a 56-year-old former state governor, looking downcast. Maduro had welcomed Falcone's candidacy, which gave some legitimacy to a process critics at home and around the world have condemned in advance as the coronation of a dictator. Falcone's quick rejection of Sunday's election and a call for a new vote was therefore a blow to the government strategy. Falcone, a former member of the Socialist Party who went over to the opposition in 2010, said he was outraged at the government's placing of nearly 13,000 pro-government stands called red spots close to polling stations nationwide. All right, so these red spots in Venezuela is the place you would go. It's since it's a socialist dictatorship. It's socialist dictatorship. I'm not gonna just let's kid yourself that it's democratic, that it's socialist. It's freaking dictatorship. The red spots is what they use to give out government aid and assistance. So you can go there, you can vote, prove that you voted for Maduro, and hey, we're gonna give you some food. We're gonna get some food, some extra cash, and then you want some, considering, so. Mainly poor Venezuelans were asked to scan state-issued fatherland cards at red tents after voting in hope of receiving a prize promised by Maduro, which opponents said were akin to vote buying. It's not akin, it's vote buying. The fatherland cards are required to receive benefits including food boxes and money transfers. A third presidential candidate, evangelical pastor Javier followed Falcone in slamming irregularities during Sunday's vote and calling for a new election. Despite his unpopularity over a national economic meltdown, Maduro benefited on Sunday not just from the opposition boycott, but also from a ban on his two most popular rivals and the liberal use of state resources in his campaign. His tally, however, fell short of the 10 million votes he had said throughout the campaign, and he wanted to win. So, yeah, I think, what's not fair about that? They're using, he put so the starving Venezuelans, you get food if you voted for Maduro and money. So yeah, let's vote by. Any you have any thoughts on that, Ryan? Before I keep going.
Well, he's helping the poor. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. If he's feeding the poor people, that's a good thing, right? I mean, this is what Saddam Hussein did, and to get his 90% reelection rate, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
when are we going to attack Venezuela?
They do have oil. I
Yes,
mean,
we do.
they may need some freedom later. Good old Venezuela. Like I always like talking about Venezuela stuff because in my original podcast that really got me to podcasting, the Independence Bell, we used to make fun and talk about Venezuela all the time. So like watching it go downhill, and only people's like it's not a true socialist economy. I claim
Uh-huh.
bullcrap. I've
Well,
watched this thing. Hmm?
especially since they were touting as such when he first took over and
Right.
nationalized everything, and people like Bernie Sanders and all the progressives were claiming it to be the great miracle. We're going to
Hmm.
see how great socialism it is. Go watch Venezuela. We
Hmm.
did, and we saw what happened.
Yep. 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 We saw what happened. We watched them continue to keep like we were watching like you could tell in 2008 2010 like the dam was going because they kept raising the minimum wage. Kept raising it. They kept raising it every other year. They kept raising it. Maduro would fire competent people on air that were working in the companies. Like, hey, we need to put money back in the infrastructure of this oil thing. We can't keep taking money out. Which is like, which a lot of people don't like. Whoa, the oil price fell. That's where they lost all their money. No, 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 no. There's a lot of different places that are still doing okay, even the cost of oil has dropped.
I didn't see Saudi Arabia floundering around and having people not eat and everything else.
Right. The reason they did is because they fired the competent people, and they, in the executive branch of their oil refineries, they weren't putting money back into the company. They were just pulling out, so they weren't um, making sure the refineries were up to snuff. The transportation machines, that the boats basically bring them to the U.S. or other marketplace. And also, Hugo Chavez kept being antagonistic to the United States government, one of the bigger buyers of oil.
Are
So,
you telling me that socialists don't understand basic economics?
uh, yeah, pretty much, pretty much. I think I don't know how to say that other than they have no idea how to do with money or business. So, the writing was on the wall, especially when after Hugo Chavez had died and the dust was settling, people found out that his daughter was the richest person in the country somehow, randomly in the socialist country. By the way, she got out. She's out. She doesn't live in Venezuela anymore.
Yeah, I'd say the president seems to be living pretty good,
Oh,
as evidenced by that post I just
oh yeah,
posted.
yeah. Getting that Maduro diet. He's on that Maduro. Mm, spare empanada there. Maduro, the self-described son of Chavez, says he is battling an imperialist plot to crush socialism and take over Venezuela's oil. Really? Really?
Yeah, what's the evidence of that again? Oh, there is none. That's right.
Oh, like you,
Read that.
yeah, just like you guys did. So Maduro, the self-described son of Chavez, says he is battling an imperialist plot to crush socialism and take over Venezuela's oil. So, like, when you installed your own government full of Maduro loyalists to ignore the other government that didn't want you there. Oh, sorry, that's that doesn't work.
We did that.
Sorry, never mind. Never mind. Which I'm sure like the CIA is probably just right now just putting up a pamphlets and paper like, hey, this government fell. We didn't do anything this time.
Well, that's funny because they're probably sitting around going, oh, got all these plans in place to take him down. And they're looking at each other going, let him be, I guess.
Let them
Doing
alone.
a better job. It's just like libertarians when they run for office and
Mhm.
they all turn on their own presidential candidate. The other candidates don't have to do anything. They just let them take care of themselves and destroy themselves from within. You don't
Mhm.
have to worry about it. Just let them be.
You think that's why Trump never went after Gary Johnson? He's like, whoa, everyone's like, whoa, leave them alone. They'll go after themselves. Here, watch, just watch. They'll attack themselves. Just leave them alone. Untouchable. You know, I always love your post when you post this. Like, why would this awesome awesome candidate come to the Republican Party after seeing what happened to Weld? I was like, wow, that's powerful and scary at the same time. Why would
Sure.
anyone?
Somebody asked me yesterday about because Jeff Flake put out this speech uh, talking about Trump and the pit and despair
Hmm.
and everything else that's going on with it. And somebody said, we should try to get him to come over to the Libertarian Party. You think he'd come? And I said, why would he after what we did to Gary Johnson and Bill Weld?
Right. Right. And some certain people continue to do to Bill Weld, even though he's not running for any office. He's just kind of
He's
being a part.
running for office, and everybody's like, we don't want to run it. I'm like, I haven't seen him announce he's running anything. Why don't you leave him alone for 5 minutes and let him do his thing?
Right.
He's endorsing libertarian candidates. He's raising money for libertarians.
Hmm.
Why are you complaining about that again?
I know. If anything, it looks like he's running for chair eventually, like he wants to be chairman, or if anything, that's the only thing it looks like to me. Like he wants to be chair with no power, But
No, I think he's more like that. He's just going to be the well. And Ed Crane did run chair, but he's kind of trying to be the new Ed Crane. I think.
ooh, that'd be good. Be good. All right, so fighting. Back to this thing. Attendance appeared thin in many. Oh, get it. Can you turn up Reinhold? Oh, everyone says Reinhold's quiet.
I had a little problem with my system as we talked about. So my settings on some of my stuff is a little off. I apologize for that.
Jackie's
I'll have to get that fixed before tomorrow.
Jackie goes, well for chair.
I think he'd be a good chair, to be honest with you, because he'd be able to do what the chair's function is supposed to be.
Yeah.
People think the chair, and if you listen to Wall last night, you'll hear us talking about what the chair is supposed to be doing and what the chair is not supposed to be doing. And I think it would probably be a good place for him because it is the most least important position in the Libertarian Party. You run meetings and you wrangle cats. That's really all you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Which be perfect. Perfect for him. I'm hungry and I don't have a job, but I'm sticking to Maduro, said Carlos Racones, 49, in the once thriving industrial city of Valencia, accusing right-wing business owners of purposely hiding food and hiking prices. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Hiding food. Making sure you stick to a good, healthy Maduro diet. Many Venezuelans are disillusioned and angry over the election. They criticize Maduro for economic hardships and the opposition for its dysfunctional splits. Reeling from a fifth year of recession, falling oil production, and U.S. sanctions, Venezuela is seeing growing levels of malnutrition and hyperinflation and mass immigration. So basically, people are leaving in mass. Hyperinflation, I think they put their inflation at, it's worth less than, WoW gold. So, and malnutrition, like I said, the Maduro diet. A lot of things to, Luke Radowski did a great video when he was down there. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's Luke Radowski, whatever. His videos, him down in Venezuela was 2 years ago, is just shocking. The video that he took 2 years ago in Venezuela. So regardless of how you feel about Luke Radowski, the video showed. Just watch the video. You can put it on mute. Just watch what's going on.
So what we need to do is somebody needs to make a meme and show one of the nice newer cities in Somalia that are starting to, really do well,
Mm-hmm.
and then show Venezuela and say, okay, you say that libertarianism is like Venezuela. What's socialism like again? And then show the Venezuela thing.
Yeah. Well, Somalia is a libertarian country.
I know. I'm just saying that's what they say.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, go to Somalia.
They're using the same excuses. Venezuela is not a socialist country. Well, you're saying that Somalia is a libertarian. I mean, come on.
Yeah, because Somalia 2018,
Venezuela is
it looks
much more
nice.
socialist, and
Yeah. You could look like you put in. Yeah, I just Google image search of Somalia 2018. I was like, wow, they're building stuff. Wow, naked buddy. Anyways, back to Maduro's. Maduro. But streets were calm with children playing soccer on one road and Venezuelan migrants staged small anti-Maduro protests in cities from Madrid to Miami and the highland city of San Cristobal near Colombia. Three cloth dolls representing widely loathed officials, electoral council head Tisbe Lucien, Socialist Party number 2, Dislado Cabello, and Vice President Tarek El Assami were hung from a footbridge. So they hung him in effigy. But streets were calm with the children playing soccer on one road, and San Cristobal blocked off a past election to accommodate long voter lines. For many Venezuelans, Sunday was a day to look for scant food or stock up on water, which is increasingly running short because of year of underinvestment. I'm not voting. What's the point if we already know the result? I prefer to come here to get water rather than waste my time, said Raul Sanchez, filling a jug from a tap by a busy road in the arid northwestern city of Punto Fijo, because his community has not had running water for 26 days. That sounds like he's blunt. With the election behind him, Maduro may choose to deepen a purge of critics within the ruling Chavism movement. He faces Herculean task to turn around the moribund economy with the Bolivar currency down 99% in the past year and inflation at annual 14,000%, according to the National Assembly. 14,000%. Like I said, like it's ridiculous to watch the inflation on this place because like you've just been watching it just go down. And I remember like reading an article, was it like 4 years ago, talking about how people were coming there on boats, and it was easier for them to spend currency of toilet paper from their boats. Like they would just show up with toilet paper and would use that. You know, the toilet paper was like gold to some of these people. But it's all in their own making. A lot of people who like, especially John Oliver, or people who do start talking about like it's not a socialist country, but they kind of ignore the socialist moves that they did, like increasing they try to take over the Coca-Cola plant there too, but Coke said screw you and pulled out.
They took over the toilet paper plant.
Yeah, the toilet paper plant, they took that over. The company pulled out. All kinds of companies, like especially the U.S. companies, they just like, you know what, screw you, cut our losses, and just write everything off and pull everything out there. Like, well, Coca-Cola saw the writing on the wall, and they pulled everything out early and was just basically making water. They were just doing water there. They were making water. They were filling up the last cans and just selling water. They were literally just filtering and selling water. Coke plant. Like, screw you, we're out, we're been out. We're gonna just use the rest of the stock here to, to sell and make stuff. It's, it's ridiculous. And
check out that picture I shared.
Oh, hold on.
I know you showed it a minute ago, but you need to read what it says.
Oh, with the Maduro diet food.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm sorry, but I've been laughing at this for 10 minutes. Venezuela president, already mocked for gaining weight amid a hunger crisis, pulls out an empanada from his desk during a live TV address.
During a live TV address, he reaches down and grabs an empanada, and that's just like, I don't care. Screw y'all.
It's hilarious. Just,
I mean, the funny thing is that's not even a made-up joke that happened.
Eat my empanadas. Oh man, it just had a snack. So, yeah, that's the other thing. Is like, it's one thing to go through a hunger crisis and to gain weight. That's also ridiculous. He didn't even have the self-control to even make it look like he was suffering. Like, he could have just like not ate too, or just kept enough of him and was like, look, I am losing weight too. These businesses are doing this to me. But no, he's clearly has the money that he's siphoning off other companies or other things that he's doing to continue to make himself rich, gain money. So yeah, good job, Maduro. Show us why socialism is bad, and don't try to argue with socialists about how like you go blue in the face trying to show them that this is a socialist country, this is what happened, but they'll just talk about they're mismanaging things. Okay, but government plus time equals mismanagement.
Show us one time where a government didn't mismanage everything.
Just one time. Also, please show me the capitalist destruction dictatorship. I want to see the capitalist dictator. I want to see the capitalist famine. I want to see the capitalist dictatorship.
The best thing they do is talk about the robber barons, and it's like, yeah, but no one had to do that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Everybody could have turned around to the robber barons and said, fuck you, we're not buying your stuff anymore. And they couldn't do anything. They can't make you buy their stuff.
Right.
The government can make you. Like, I was listening to an interview with Ed Crane, and he was pointing this out. He's like, with capitalism, if Ford spends millions of dollars trying to get you to buy their cars or their trucks, we can all collectively just turn around and say, no, fuck you. But if the government tells you that you have to buy their trucks, then you have to go buy their trucks or you're going to go to jail.
All right, so I just put a Mises article on, so please bear with me. Please calm down, everybody. But the
reverence to Mises.
The truth about the robber barons. Free market capitalism is a network of free. So basically, the late 19th and early 20th centuries are often referred to as a time of the robber barons. It is a staple of history books to attach this derogatory phrase to such figures as John D. Rockefeller, Cornelius Vanderbilt, and the great 19th century railroad operators. Grenville Dodge, Leland Stanford, Henry Villard, James A. Hill, and others. To most historians writing on this period, these entrepreneurs committed thinly veiled acts of larceny to enrich themselves at the expense of their customer. Once again, we see the image of greedy, exploitative capitalists, but in many cases, this is a distortion of the truth. As common as it is to speak of robber barons, most use the term as confused about the role of capitalism in the American economy and fail to make an important distinction. Distinction between what might be called a market entrepreneur and a political entrepreneur. A pure market entrepreneur or a capitalist succeeds financially by selling a newer, better, or less expensive product on the free market without any government subsidies, direct or indirect. The key to his success as a capitalist is his ability to please the consumer, for in a capitalist society, the consumer ultimately calls the economic shots. By contrast, a political entrepreneur succeeds primarily by influencing government to subsidize his business or industry or to enact legislation or regulation that harms his competitors. So that's why it wouldn't take
there was a great like mini documentary series by the History Channel a few years back called The Men That Built America.
Okay.
And it focused on how the Industrial Revolution and everything turned over and made America basically from a more agrarian society to a much more service-oriented and industrialized society. These robber barons were the ones who did that. And this series focused on what they did to help make America what it is by what they did, right? So Henry Ford, Rockefeller, those guys. It talks about how much they ended up giving back to the country after they made their money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rockefeller Center, all the money you put into the arts and everything else to help all of that stuff. They all put money back in to the society once they made it, just like Bill Gates has been doing. He's made all his money. Now he's out there trying to save things and do good things with it, do good works with it. Right. And that's what that can happen because of that. If this was all government run, you would not have that, right?
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
I mean, as we become more and more and more centrally regulated and managed as a society, the more people start noticing that the country has been stagnating over the past several decades. Mm-hmm. Somebody might want to say that there might be there might be something there, right? So there might be a reason why we're stagnating as we're more centrally managing everything.
Right. Yep. Trying to keep everything centralized in
just
one.
Look at the internet. The internet grew and exploded and got big, had a little bit of a crash, came back, got big, all because there was no regulations on it. Then we started putting more regulations on it and trying to do all this neutrality and everything else. And now we're stuck with everybody having monopolized internet connectivity, people getting charged a little bit too much for it, not getting a good service. Nobody likes their internet service providers for the most part. And why is that? Because it's monopolized from the government, regulating all this stuff that's preventing competition, it's preventing good people to come in and give better services for a lesser price. and that's what we get for it. And the response from all these people is to have more regulation to make it right.
Right.
That's not how it works, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, but if you take these regs off, everything's going to go bad. And it's like, based on what? Based on what? The hypothetical?
Based on the first 30 years of the internet that ran great, nobody had any complaints at all.
Right. You know, all these dial-ups, like dial-up service was getting super cheap there for a bit.
That was the reason, because with a dial-up, you could have any ISP you wanted. It didn't matter where you lived. You could say, oh, this ISP is just horrible. I don't like it anymore. I'm going to go try this other one.
Mm-hmm.
And people would go to the one that had a little bit cheaper or who gave a better service, so they pay a little bit more for it. So everybody had their own little thing that they wanted, and they all got served the way they wanted to be served, and everybody was happy and great.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, everybody has to use Comcast, and they're complaining about it because Comcast is like, we don't care. What are you going to do? You can't go anywhere else.
Right. Yeah. What are you going to do? Go to DSL?
They use use your satellite for that.
That's like hopefully, you want to give hope to like the 5G access, maybe it'll open up to a lot more like wireless, tower internet access, possibly. We don't know, but the FCC is going to be putting their finger on anything, on things like that. They put their finger. They're
already putting 5G in other countries, but they're not letting it roll out here yet.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder what's going on there. All the regulations, the government's getting involved and blocking all of it. People would be putting this stuff up already if they were allowed to.
Yeah. Well, that's just the same thing with the FAA. They block a lot of the drone for commercial use. In every country besides the United States, a lot of companies use drones for delivery, surveillance, to sell properties, to take photos, all kinds of different things. Your drones are being used. And the people who are using drones are well far beyond what it is used in the United States because of the FAA.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst. That's why like drones got really, really big here and kind of tapered out. Everyone's like, oh, drones are stupid now. I'm like, no. Everywhere else but the United States, drones are still big. They're still being used for things. Good old government. But like when the FAA was trying to get people to register their drones, I laughed at it. Because you could watch drone video in no-fly zones. Legit no-fly zones. Washington, D.C. is a complete and total no-fly zone. There's drones flying everywhere through D.C. If you can't stop it in D.C. and this massive no-fly zone, how the heck are you going to enforce some FAA tail letter regulation on my drone here, mainly America? You can't unless I get snitched upon. So screw you. But let's go. As common as to speak of the robber barons, most of you, in the mousetrap industry, for instance, you can be a market entrepreneur by making a better mousetrap and thereby convincing consumers to buy more of your mousetraps and less of your competitors. Or you can lobby Congress to prohibit the importation of all foreign-made mousetraps. In the former situation, the consumer voluntarily hands over his money for the superior mousetrap. In the latter case, the consumer, not given anything better in return, pays more for existing mousetrap just because the import quota has reduced supply and therefore driven up prices. The American economy has always included a mix of market and political entrepreneurs, self-made men and women, as well as political connivers and manipulators, and sometimes people who have achieved success as market entrepreneurs in one period of their lives later become political entrepreneurs. By the distinction between the two is critical to make. Elon Musk. For market entrepreneurs is a hallmark of genuine capitalism, whereas political entrepreneur is not. It's neo-mercantilism. Mercantilism. Sorry. A little dry. Didn't get a drink. Sorry. In some cases, of course, the entrepreneurs commonly labeled robber barons did indeed profit from exploiting American customers, but these were not market entrepreneurs. For example, Leland Stanford, a former governor and U.S. senator from California, used his political connections to have the state pass law prohibiting competition for a Central Pacific Railroad, and he and his business partners profited from this monopoly scheme. Unfortunately, the resentment that this naturally generated among the public was unfairly directed at other entrepreneurs who succeeded in the railroad industry without political interference that tilted the playing field in their direction, thanks to historians who failed to or refused to make this crucial distinction. Many Americans have an inaccurate view of American capitalism. Ta-da! It's the same thing with California water supply. The biggest problem is, ta-da! People using the government to make sure they can't have to charge the same price for water. So basically, California's biggest problem with water is lack of capitalism, not because of it. Because capitalism is all it does in its base, pure form, is manage scarce resources that have other uses. That's all it does. That's all it really does. You boil it down, that's all it really does. How to build a railroad. Most business historians have assumed that transcontinental railroads have never been built without government subsidies, which is bullcrap. The free market would have failed to provide the adequate capital, or so the theory asserts. The evidence for this theory is that the Union Pacific and Central Pacific Railroads, which were completed in the years after the war between the states, received per-mile subsidies from the federal government in the form of low-interest loans as well as massive land grants. But there is no need to be cause and effect here. The subsidies were not needed to cause the transcontinental railroads to be built. We know this because just as many roads and canals were privately financed in the early 19th century. A market entrepreneur built his own transcontinental railroad. James J. Hill built the Great North Railroad without any government aid, and even the right-of-way through hundreds of miles of public lands being paid for in cash, as Hill himself stated. Quite naturally, Hill strongly opposed government favors to the competitors. The government should not furnish capital to these companies, in addition to the enormous land subsidies, to enable them to conduct their business in competition with enterprises that has received no aid from the public treasury. He wrote, "This may sound quaint by today's standards, but it was still a hotly debated issue in the late 19th century." So boom, 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 boom. Like I said, it's a great article, great read up on the myth of robber barons, and the whole misuse and misdirection of everything of the, of how early capitalism is. Because most people don't want to do the reviews, most people don't want to read the thing or see what heck is going on, and they just want to say robber barons and move on. They don't want to have this outright discussion on okay, what really happened. Let's look at the roads. Just like the idea that when I talk to people here in Indianapolis about public transportation, I was like, well, what if Indianapolis got out of the public transportation business and we allowed a private business, no subsidies, nothing, to do this? We just get out of the way. No one would do that. No one would do that. I'm like, well, that's not necessarily, because a lot of companies need people from different areas to come work for them. So a lot of companies have no issue building that, but just like a lot of companies went in and paid for and built the subway system in New York, and the New York City government, the state government, seized the New York subway system. So, sorry, Randall, I've been talking for a bit. You want to say anything?
No, just who built the railroads? Does anybody remember that?
Who's going to build my railroads?
The railroads were built by capitalists and companies, not the government. And it opened up the country, and it was a successful boon to lots of industries and movement of people around the country. And it was not, subsidized by the government. There were some things that the government did to kind of help it along once it started. They gave occasional loans, but there was very many strong terms on paying it back really quickly. It wasn't like they were just giving out money, and they helped acquire a few properties as needed, or just assigned the properties to the people who were buying it properly. But that's really all they did. The work was done, the planning was done, all that stuff was done by the companies.
Yep.
So when there's a need, there's a meme that came out the other day where 14,000 Iowans back in the early 1800s got together and one day built a road across the strait. So the farmers got together, they decided they needed a road built, they got it planned. One day they just went out and used their own equipment, and they built a road across the state.
Nice. Nice.
Where was the government there? It wasn't. It was just all organized by themselves.
Buying land and doing themselves. Hi, Cam Blue, or Blev. Is that Cam Blev? Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. So yeah, people coming together and doing things and getting things built. But just like the article states, like a lot of people did use scrupulous methods to get the government involved to either price other people out or use eminent domain to buy things, and that practice has still continued on. Just like the president has done, they use eminent domain to purchase things or to move things. The red line thing they're doing for the public transportation here in Indianapolis, they've used they've used the government force to go through and buy the property that they needed necessary to put in this red line that hardly anybody really wants in those areas. It's so it's I public transportation and the railroad, like the railroad system would have benefited and it's probably would have been more profitable than what it is. But the biggest problem with it is that a superior mode of transportation took place. Planes came in and took a lot of their profit margin away. But for large heavy transport, trains are perfect for that. So that's what most trains do now. They just move very heavy transit. But we also have trucks to go in different spots. It's this weird network of things that are going on. But for some reason, some people still like to use this old public transportation model for major cities, and just like to look to other cities. They're like, "Oh, this is why we need public transportation because Chicago, New York City, San Francisco all have all these public transportation work, but Indy doesn't." I'm like, but it's
Also,
different.
Indy's a little bit different because those cities they're talking about are butted up against large bodies of water. So they can't really expand very much. They have to kind of build on top of themselves way more than Indy does or Dallas does or Houston does. You don't see this stuff in Dallas and Houston.
Yeah. Well, because we could just keep expanding out. You just keep going out further out, further out,
Just
further
put
out.
better roads and people have cars, and why do they need that for?
Right. Yeah, and they could just buy better cars. Just buy a car, which is the ultimate, transportation tool because you can choose when you want to leave, when you want to go, and where you decide to go instead of being limited to a schedule. Now, granted, there are some cool public transportation work. I've been looking at the South Korean model of bus station, like their bus systems, and it's phenomenal. It's very high tech. The idea that they've got all these buses running all the different times to different stations, and every bus doesn't go to each station, and that you basically have to push a button to let the bus know that there's someone waiting at the station, so they know to even stop there or go there. So it's really neat. I doubt it would work in the United States because we probably way too many trolls for something like that. Because I'm sure there's probably somebody that will ride around at stations and push buttons because trolls be trolls. So that's all the articles I really wanted to talk about today. Does everybody have anything else? Anything anybody want to bring up here on Loki? Once?
Not really. I mean, I'm just. It's been a long day, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I feel you. It has been a long day. Gunther has kept me up. Apparently, she decided to get up at 2:30 and talk to herself in front of the camera and play. It was like she was doing a show with like a stuffed animal in front of the camera all night, and then fell back to sleep. Cam Blue's like, I don't know if there's a protocol, but Korea is the size of Texas. Yeah, okay. But public transportation in the U.S. is difficult because it's so. Yes, yeah, oh yeah. That's what we're saying. Yeah, public transportation here in the United States is difficult because it's so large and expensive. So like the best case scenario is a private solution that we automatically have, and people don't see that as a solution is you buy your own car or you Uber, you use a taxi to get somewhere, or you buy your own transportation because public transportation of picking people up from one destination and moving barely works. Like planes work just because they have a monopoly on that type of thing. The
Well,
Elon
it's
Musk,
not so much, but it's not even. It's not a government-run thing, though. Those are private companies
right? Yeah.
fulfilling the needs. So you've got several different airlines doing different ways of doing it, different costs for doing it.
hmm
So there's going to be competition here. So it's always going to be the best deal
hmm
because they have that competition.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what you're saying there. But I would mostly say like they have a monopoly on the flight. They control which companies are flying and which airports you can fly from and licensing for flight.
Really, I don't. So the federal government has kind of. They don't really have a lot of say in that. I mean, they could have, but they back off a lot of that. So if a airline doesn't want to fly to a city, they don't set flights to that city. They can't really be made to, So all that stuff is still pretty much run by the companies. Now the governments own a lot of the airports, so
Right.
that's where they get into it. But
Right. What I'm just saying is that for personal flight, like if Reinhold wanted to build his airplane and Reinhold wanted to fly out of his driveway.
yeah, I can do that. There's a place somebody built a little airport, maybe about a mile from me,
Yeah.
where the local farmers do crop dusting and they have their own planes and ultralights.
hmm
That's not any. The government has had nothing to do with any of that,
No, they don't.
other than
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about they just they put barriers up, and the barriers are a little harder than flying a car. Um, let's see. I got to like public transportation in the U.S. Let's see, Elon Musk Hyper Super Tube. There is a state and federal subsidies. The when it comes to the Elon Musk Hyper Loop Lift Tube thing, um, if he gets it off this old idea off, more power to him. But to me, it just looks like it's look like it's never going to work. It just looks like a money pit to me. Um, I prefer him just working on SpaceX stuff.
is that like the hybrid plane train thing?
Yeah, the hyperlit the tube thing. The I'm going to put people in a vacuum tube and shoot them at like 400 miles per hour in a direction. Yeah. Towboater said you do have to have home built planes inspected. That's true, but they have to do
Yeah, I mean,
cars.
there's some blocks and stuff in there, but for this tube thing, I mean, why don't you just put a large hadron collider across the country and then stick people in little boxes and send them across that with the magnets?
I don't know. They could just that's what people try to like high speed like travel between areas. It's like, well, we already have devices that allow us to travel at high rates of speed in between areas. They're called cars. Um,
Yeah, and planes are very high speed.
yeah,
And how do you really want to go faster than what a plane is going right now? I mean, at some point, you start introducing G forces and trauma to humans. You don't want to go too fast.
yeah, and be in a vacuum too. But Camblev, it's very loose format. This a Loki Wall is for it's a fan show for a podcast, so it's just more of like a hangout. It's very casual. So if you want to say something, just put it in the chat. It is perfectly okay. Um, it's more of a hangout. We want to talk to you. Like it's not like more of a. It's kind of a. I put it in the talk show category because it's mostly us doing a talk show. It feels more like a talk show than an IRL stream, but because I want to put IRL because usually people here on the thing I'm chatting to and doing like a talk show too. So it's like a mixed hybrid, but it's
Yeah, we're
more.
not cooking or painting anything or anything like that.
I could be. Maybe we should do that. Maybe I should like do the next low key wall in the kitchen and cook something up while I'm doing this. Of course, I'd probably end up stopping halfway between and eating, the but
You should have
like
streamed. You should have streamed your ribs last week.
ooh yeah, that would have been good. I should have did that and made all you guys hungry. Of course, like I remember when I was doing that, and my mom sees the post, and she's just like, "You didn't share them any of our pepper." I'm like, "No, I didn't give them any of that. They don't have any of that. I didn't. I used all the ingredients that was in his fridge. I didn't go out and get anything else." But anyways, because like and like we said on the like last week's show, like even the cafe standards for cars are different than SUVs, but people keep buying these massive SUVs, which don't really travel at high rates of speed very well, but they can. Like SUVs can get up to 100 miles per hour. I don't recommend it. They're gigantic blocks. And they move a lot of air. They get kind of shaky at that high speeds versus like a car or sports car. my sports car can stay at 100 miles per hour and do it for hours. Just stay at it and just go at it perfectly fine. There's no issue with it whatsoever. It's designed to do that. So the road system forcing me to stay under 55, 65, or 70, you're just hindering my car and the technology in it that I can travel at a high rate of speed. So if I wanted, somebody's like, oh, but these things you can work in Chicago. If I could travel at 100 plus miles per hour on I-65 up to Chicago, I could work in Chicago. I can eat. That's an easy commute then. If I could just floor it, and take off at 150 miles per hour, I could do it. Let's skip it. I ran it through Wall. Love the last one, by the way, Reinhold. I'm big into crypto, and I like Vibert because he works for Pat, and I am for West Virginia. Oh, okay. Whoa, man. A Vibert, another Vibert fan. Everybody loves a Vibert. Thanks, Cam. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Camblev. Or I hope I'm pronouncing it. I don't know if it's Camblev. Camblev, are you on the? Are you in our Discord channel? We do have a Discord. I don't think I have a Discord bot on this thing to bot it out. I really should improve that a little bit better.
At least put a link in there.
I'm grabbing the link, dropping the Discord link. Did it? So if you'd like, you can go ahead. I just joined actually today. Normal Mac. Okay. Alrighty. That's cool. Yeah. Welcome to the Discord. Look around, poke things around, ask questions. Like I said, very loose format. We're like a lot of different podcasts. A lot of rigid rules. I don't like it. I just want more, just have conversations between people and to have that more community feel,
And then thanks for your comment about last night. I was kind of concerned or curious how that episode would have gone over. So, because it wasn't your normal kind of wall, it was a lot more inside baseball, and a lot of people kind of shy away from that sort of thing.
I haven't listened to
last night. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, that's great. That makes me even more encouraged to want to listen to it tomorrow. I didn't get to listen to it today or last night because it's been busy, but today I was dealing with a computer issue, but a different computer issue that Reinhold was dealing with. I had a laptop that I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, so I was dealing with that stuff. And too long did not read or say. It turned out to be the power cord of the laptop was the issue. So that was like 2 to 3 hours of my life for a $50 power cord. So yeah. All right. So this
whenever I go work on somebody's computer system or their Active Directory or their virtual environment or something like that, it's like we want to try and find the issue, and we want it to be something that was hard, but we also want to be something that we can easily find. So it's like a two-sided coin where if it's something really easy to fix, then they're like, why didn't we see it?
Mm-hmm.
But why did we have to call you in? But if it's something really, really hard, then you're sitting there for days trying to figure it out. And you don't want that either. You don't want them having to go through that either. So it's like, can we have something in between? Trying to figure out something. Oh, you just didn't know about this. It's kind of hidden, esoteric, but we know about it, so we'll help you out. That's kind of what we try to hope for. But usually it's something either really stupid that they just missed, or it's something that we end up having to call Microsoft on because they got to get into the code and trying to figure out what weird thing is going on in there that's just not working in their environment.
All right. So, Campbell said he's a CS student. So I'm going to assume that means computer science. Rock on. Yeah.
That's what CS stands for, computer science.
Well, could stand for creative student. Creative suite student. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. That's true. I don't think anything else stands for C or customer service student. See, it could be
civic studies.
Civic study student. See, yeah. See, it could be all these different things, man. But all right, so that's Low Key WAL. Thank you everyone for tuning in, staying for this. Like you guys could have been listening to and watching anything else and hanging out with anyone else, but you guys decided to come here and hang out with us. And thank you you rock. You're freaking awesome, and I can't wait to hang out with you guys on next Friday night. Rhino, do you want to go ahead and wrap up? Anything you want to go promote and or warn people about?
Last night's wall, if you want to check it out, I was on there and we did a good discussion on the Libertarian Party and kind of things, what's going on there, focusing on the LNC races, kind of a focus into the situations. I'll be back on covering for Harry as he is off doing work. I'll be back on Tuesday night on Wall. Otherwise, you can get me on Twitch. I do streaming D&D on Saturdays at 1 p.m. We got another episode tomorrow, so if you want to check that out, it's Reinhold TV. Twitter is at Reinhold for political stuff and at Reinhold TV for media, twitching, gaming, that sort of thing. That's it.
All right. I'm going to leave a link to that podcast episode right here. So if you want to listen to it, download it, you want to go for it. Did I delete the right one? Oh, yeah, that's the right one. 2-3 net. Yeah. Sorry, like it says, like, because like at Fireside it says it's 397, but it's episode 289. So, anyways, so, and also, all right, so. Thank you, like I said, thank you for going to Low Key Wall. We'll do Low Key Wall again next Friday. You get to listen to Reinhold. We'll be sitting in my chair till we're done with my company's move from the north side of Indianapolis to downtown Indianapolis, which should be fun. I can't wait to be in the new space, to be working downtown, and taking these small office network and IT network environment and get it to that enterprise level. I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of work, but I've never really taken something from a non-domain controller. It's either been like, either they don't have a domain controller, no Active Directory, and that's how they, and they're too small to do something like that, and that's just what they want it, or it's been in place and it's just like, hey, just maintain this. We're just gonna maintain, just do maintenance and fill things in, and you become a glorified, password reset junkie. Okay, and that's all you do is reset passwords. But so it's great. I love it. This is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be amazing. So like I said, thank you for tuning into Low Key Wall, everyone. Ooh, I'll get some other messages. Programming has been a good one. Looking forward to be in BS and Discord. I always like to play and sharpen knives in a political discussion Discord, which is rather fun. It sure is. And if you do get out and programming is fun, most of the company I work for is more of an IT tech startup, so like tons of these programmers and computer science people I work around and who know nothing about networking, but they're great devs and programmers, which is fun to be around. But anyways, thank you everybody. Bye. Bye everybody. Say bye right home.
Bye, everybody.